Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is Diplomatic Corner. I am Malin Temesgen. Today we have come up with Danish ambassador to Ethiopia to highlight the existing bilateral relationship between Ethiopia and Denmark. So don't go away. Ambassador, thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is all mine.
Great. So first of all, just make introduction of your country. How Denmark looks like. There are some people in our audience who would like to know about Denmark.
Sure. Well, Denmark is a small country. It's located in the northern part of Europe, in Scandinavia, and we consider ourselves as a Scandinavian country. It's a small country, 6 million people. So I guess it's about the same size of the population of Addis Ababa. So we're a very flat country, no mountains, which also sets us apart from Ethiopia. The highest point in Denmark is around 160 meters. So you can imagine that it is a very flat country. But it's a country that has very strong traditions in terms of presence and relationships with African countries, including Ethiopia.
Great. Just tell us a bit about the political, economic, social situations of your country, and also your capital city as well.
True. The capital of Denmark is Copenhagen. It's a city of around 1 million, 1.5 million people. One thing that people often notice about Copenhagen that the preferred means of transportation is bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
So we have everyone using their bicycles to go to work and also in their spare time. You will also meet members of parliament, politicians, ministers using their bikes to go to work in the parliament. So that's also something that people very often notice as a special feature of the city of Copenhagen.
Mm-hmm. How about the political situation of your country?
Well, Denmark is an open economy. We rely heavily on export. And that's why we are deeply integrated into the European economy. We have very close ties with the Swedish economy, with the German economy, with the British economy, but also with the American economy. So many Danish companies are engaged in export-oriented activities. It's an economy, when you look at our companies, most of them are small and medium-sized. But of course, as any other country, we have a few big ones that are doing quite well globally.
Mm-hmm. Great. So before we go ahead with highlighting the existing bilateral relationship between Ethiopia and Denmark, I just want you to tell us a bit about your assignment being ambassador of Denmark to Ethiopia, and when did you come to Ethiopia, and how did you find the situation, the city, and the country in general?
This is my second time in Ethiopia. I served here as the deputy ambassador from 2018 to 21, whereafter I went to Nigeria as ambassador of Denmark to Nigeria. And I'm really happy to be back in Addis Ababa. This has become a home.
You've been to Ethiopia before?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this has become a home away from home for me and my family, my wife and children. And we have many good friends and fond memories of Addis Ababa. So when we came back in August last year, it was a great pleasure for us, and my children were so happy to be back in Ethiopia with their friends and the many good people around us here.
Yeah. How long has it been since you returned?
I arrived back in Ethiopia August last year. So we've had 1 year, a little bit more than 1 year here to settle in and reconnect with the country.
Great. How about the ongoing corridor development happening in the city, and how do you find it, and what is your thought about it?
When I arrived in August last year, and I was picked up in the airport and taken to my residence, Me, my wife, and my children, we were looking out of the window of the vehicle, and we couldn't really recognize the city. What had happened? You know, Airport Road had changed completely. So it has been a dramatic change in terms of many major changes to the city. One thing I also noticed is that you would see so many people walking up and down these refurbished streets. So there was a whole different life around these new corridors, these new roads that were created. So it is a very different city, yes.
Great. Let's now talk about the existing diplomatic relationship between Ethiopia and your country, Denmark. So how would you describe the state of bilateral relationship between the two countries?
I feel very privileged to have arrived here as ambassador of Denmark at a time when the bilateral relationship is expanding, it's growing into new sectors. We have just launched and signed our next 5-year development program here in Addis Ababa, which is an ambitious program where we work closely with the Ethiopian government in many important sectors of relevance for the Ethiopian economy. So we are very happy with the way our bilateral relationship is developing. One area that we also appreciate is that Ethiopia is a very ambitious country when it comes to the green transition, to fighting climate change. And we share that vision and ambition. So we have also seen a very close relationship develop between Denmark and Ethiopia at the global stage in international climate diplomacy. This is something that we really value and appreciate.
What are some of the main milestones achieved in partnership between the two countries?
Some of the milestones relate to the high-level interaction that we have between the leadership of the Ethiopian government and the Danish government. And I'm really glad to see that we are seeing interactions at highest level between our leaders. This is important for the bilateral relationship to continue to develop. But if you look at our development cooperation here in Ethiopia, I was glad to sign the next 5-year program. I signed it in June, and of course this is also a milestone, right? Because it sets the direction for our cooperation for the next 5 years. So this is indeed a milestone. And then finally, one thing I should also mention is that a few months ago, the Danish financed wind farm Acela was opened. The first turbines of the Acela wind farm started delivering electricity to the national electricity grid. This is a wind farm that will deliver green, sustainable electricity to hundreds of thousands of Ethiopian households. And this is Danish financed. And I do think that this is a great example of our cooperation, how it has developed over the years.
Great. You just mentioned some of the cooperation, actually. What are the main areas of cooperation, development cooperation? And just remind us the development treaty signed between, your country, Denmark, and Ethiopia.
Well, of course, when you launch an ambitious program like we do here in Ethiopia, it's important that there is agreement between the Danish government and the Ethiopian government in terms of, what are the important sectors, where should we work, what kind of activities. And I'm really glad that we have this close dialogue with the Ethiopian government on the priorities. We have designed our next 5-year program here in Ethiopia to focus on agriculture, on access to water and access to electricity, but also supporting the social safety nets for the most vulnerable people, and then also working closely with partners on securing human rights and governance. So it's a very broad program, but I'm really glad to see that that we address some of the major challenges also identified by the Ethiopian government which is further development of the agricultural sector, job creation, but also access to water and energy, which are important for the further development of the economy.
Yeah, we just want to know how is your country supporting Ethiopia's climate resilience and green energy goals, and highlight also the ongoing Green Legacy initiative being undertaken by the Ethiopian government nationwide.
It's interesting because coming back to our shared ambitions when it comes to the global green agenda, Denmark has also launched a program in Denmark.
Similar with the Green Legacy.
Exactly, yeah, which also focuses on planting trees and changing or preserving and expanding the area set aside for forests and nature in general. So it's interesting that both Ethiopia and Denmark, we find ourselves on a similar path here, and this is of course a testament to the shared values and analysis that we have in terms of the major challenges when it comes to climate change, for example. In Ethiopia, we fund many activities that support the Green Legacy initiative. An example is our 100 million Danish kroner support to the forestry sector in Ethiopia, which goes to preservation of forests in rural areas. This is one area where we believe that we contribute positively to the vision of that within Green Legacy. But also access to water and access to energy, like the Acela wind farm I just mentioned. They are really good examples that we do work closely with the Ethiopian government on a green transition of the economy.
How are you evaluating the impact of this initiative in Ethiopia?
We believe that we have very good traction. We create very good results on the ground that benefit many people. We are proud that we work closely with national partners, with the Ethiopian government on many of these initiatives, because it also demonstrates, and it's a testament to the commitment of the Ethiopian government to change the lives of people in need. And this is a vision that we share. This is something where we are glad to come in and support the Ethiopian aspirations here.
Great. So have you ever participated in tree planting campaign
Yes.
along with your staff?
No, we try to show up to as many tree planting events as possible. It's always great to come out and see how everyone is involved and engaged around planting trees. One thing that really stands out here is the engagement of the people here in terms of planting trees. I do believe that this is, you can really feel that this is something that most people have realized that this is important for the future of Ethiopia.
How can you put in comparison the activities in here in Ethiopia and with the rest of African countries in terms of tree planting or fighting climate impact?
We see Ethiopia as a role model on the global green agenda, and we believe that Ethiopia serves as a role model for other African countries. There's a lot for other African countries to learn in terms of how to transition away from fossil fuels and degradation of nature into sustainable energy, into preservation of forests, of nature. It's a difficult situation that many African countries find themselves in, how to utilize your natural resources. But I believe that Ethiopia has shown a path to other countries here in terms of that you can actually develop your economy, you can industrialize without increasing your CO2 emissions and without destroying your nature, the habitat. And I do think that this is really a role model and something that where other African countries have a lot to learn.
Let me take you to human rights. You have already told us that your government is more engaged in human rights. So what is Denmark's role in strengthening democracy, governance, or human rights in this country? Or how do you, measure the human rights situations in our country?
One example I will give is that a flagship program for Denmark here is our cooperation with the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, which is a national institution. Denmark has a very good commission for human rights, which works closely with the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission in terms of monitoring the human rights situation, but also advising the government on steps to take to improve the human rights conditions in the country. So that's one area that I'm very proud of to have, where Denmark has played a key role in developing the Ethiopian national capacity to address some of these concerns. One thing that is also very close to our heart as Danes is the rights of women and girls. This has been a priority for us for many years globally. And currently we serve as an elected member of the UN Security Council, where we also do whatever we can to promote the rights of women and girls. And this is something that we bring into our country engagement here, where we work closely with our UN partners to improve the conditions for women and girls in the country.
I just read that in your country there is absolute equality.
Well, I don't know if you can ever sort of measure that completely, what actually defines absolute equality. But it's true that we have done a lot in Denmark to improve the conditions for women and girls. And I believe that we are seeing very good results of this. This relates to many things like, the salaries, the access to education, access to jobs, and so on. So it really entails a lot of things when you embark on such a journey.
Is that why your people are the happiest people in the world, because of the equality existing in your country?
Well, I guess it's one of them, but I was very sad to see that we have been overtaken by our good friends from Finland as the happiest people in the world. But I do believe that equality is an important part of this, indeed.
What should be done in Ethiopia and in Africa in general to, get used to this kind of, policy or work?
I believe it's important to have a long-term perspective. This has taken many years for Denmark to reach this place where we have such a high degree of equality. Right? So I don't think anyone should have the illusion that this is something that will happen next week or something. It takes many years to transform a society, and it requires political will and a clear vision from the leadership to do that.
Great. Let's talk about the trade and investment opportunities that are existing between the two countries. Tell us about it.
We are seeing a growing interest from Danish companies to come to Ethiopia, and this is because of some of the reforms that we have seen recently introduced here in Ethiopia, the macroeconomic reforms that, with the ambition of attracting foreign investors, foreign companies. Ethiopia holds a lot of potential. It's a big economy. People are well educated, hardworking. Ethiopia is well situated, located on the Horn of Africa, in a strategic location. So I do believe that Ethiopia holds a lot of potential as a destination for foreign investments. But of course it requires that the continued opening of the economy, the liberalization of rules and regulations. And I do think that this is something that Danish investors, Danish companies are starting to see now, and this is where we will. That's why I'm very optimistic in terms of the future engagement when it comes to trade and investments.
Great. Speaking of the investment opportunities existing here in the country, are there any recent or upcoming partnerships between Danish and Ethiopian, investors or companies?
Some of the sectors where we see a lot of potential is within agriculture, because Ethiopia is still, the agriculture sector dominates the Ethiopian economy still. And I do think that we hold a lot of experience, also being a country highly reliant on agriculture. So I do think that there's a lot of interest in the agricultural sector. We also have great experience and companies working within the water sector and the energy sector, where Danish companies are among the global leads in terms of new technologies. So coupled with the opening of the Ethiopian economy, but also the ambition and the vision of the Ethiopian leadership to attract companies within these sectors, I do think that this could very well be a perfect match.
Mm-hmm. Any market ties, signed between the two countries? What items does your country take from Ethiopia?
Well, first of all, I do think that, as I mentioned, the agricultural sector holds a lot of potential here. When you look at it, I mean, we need to do more, right, in terms of expanding the trade relations. But I choose to see this as a potential instead of something that we have not achieved yet. I do think that there's a lot of will and there's a clear wish to expand these trade relations. So within the agricultural sector, for example, Ethiopian goods, agricultural products can easily find its way to Europe and to Denmark in a much larger quantity than we're seeing now.
Great. Let's now come to the Horn of Africa. What is your perspective on the Horn of Africa region?
Well, Ethiopia finds itself in a difficult neighborhood sometimes. It's
how is it difficult?
A lot of conflicts currently raging in countries around Ethiopia. It's not always easy to navigate this region, I believe. And the people want peace and stability. They want to grow the economies, but you can't grow the economies if peace and security is not there, right? So we do need to work beyond the borders of Ethiopia to create peace and stability on the Horn of Africa. And we look closely at Ethiopia in this regard, because clearly Ethiopia is a major political player in this region. Countries in the region, they listen when Ethiopia speaks, and that's why we consider Ethiopia as an important player when it comes to creating peace and stability and sort of acting as a stabilizing force in the region.
Great. How about Ethiopia's campaign towards searching for seaport?
The message that we as Europeans and we keep repeating is that we understand, of course, the Ethiopian aspirations to get access to the sea, but any such solution should be reached through negotiated means, negotiated and peaceful means. That is what we keep repeating in our conversations with our Ethiopian counterparts.
Isn't it affecting the good stride towards regional integration in the Horn of Africa?
I do believe that access to the sea is important for further economic integration. But economic integration can only happen when you negotiate through peaceful means. So we do see a lot of potential in further economic integration of the economies on the Horn. We do see it as necessary for further development of this region, but it has to happen in a peaceful and negotiated way.
Great. So we just want to know, how does Ethiopia fit into Denmark's broader Africa strategy?
I believe that Ethiopia fits perfectly into the Danish Africa strategy. The country is an important player on the African continent. You are the second most populated country on this continent. You have global ambitions, and that's why we see a lot of potential in terms of forging closer ties within many sectors, within many, and it's clear that we share many interests. And in the context of our Africa strategy, that is the foundation for increased and expanded cooperation, our shared mutual interests.
So we just want to know also, are there any efforts, endeavors from your side and Ethiopian government side as well to enhance cultural or academic exchanges between the two countries?
One of the elements of our new Africa strategy is to do exactly that, to expand the sort of the cultural ties between African countries and Denmark. And as we speak, we are developing and rolling out new initiatives that will, I believe, create very good results in the years to come, and will ensure a much closer sort of cultural cooperation between Denmark and Ethiopia. We see a lot of interest also from Ethiopian counterparts. Many great ideas being floated in terms of how can we expand the cultural cooperation, and also the academic relations. So I do see that this is an area that where we can work even closer going forward.
Has any kind of event in terms of cultural exchange happened between the two countries before?
Let me use an example, because this week we are hosting an event for an alumni event, and this is for Ethiopians that have studied in Denmark. So we bring them together to connect and to sort of keep those memories and connections to Denmark alive. I think this is a good example of the importance of people-to-people connections, right? This is about the people, right? Great stuff happens when people connect, and that's what we want to keep alive by hosting such an event this week. And it is our hope that it can expand beyond some of the more sort of academic relations into other areas, including cultural cooperation.
We have also some youth audiences, so are there Danish scholarship or training opportunities available for Ethiopian students or professionals?
Currently, not enough. We need to do more. Again, this is also something that we have set out as a clear ambition in our strategy for our relations with African countries, including Ethiopia, that we need to do more in this field. We know some of our European friends, they have long traditions in terms of scholarships and so on, and I think Denmark can do a lot more in this regard.
We are just finalizing our questions. What is your vision for the future of Denmark and Ethiopia relationship?
I want to see the relationship grow even further. But one area in particular is important for me and for us. We need to see more trade and investment happen. We want to expand the commercial ties between our two countries, because I do think it's important to go beyond government-to-government cooperation and get more Danish companies involved in Ethiopia and more Ethiopian companies engaged in Denmark. So this is an important area that we need to work on.
Great. What final message would you like to convey to our viewers?
I would like to say that Denmark appreciates the relationship with Ethiopia. There's a lot of potential in expanding further, and I'm sure that we have fantastic years ahead of us.
Thank you so much indeed, Ambassador, for your time and being on our program. We hope we'll be meeting some other time in the future to discuss other agendas.
Great.
Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, viewers, that is all we have for today. Many thanks for watching and goodbye for now.